How did your unit's hazing culture finally get exposed? I joined Charlie Company in 2015, fresh out of infantry school, 20 years old and eager to prove myself. The hazing started my first week. Nothing crazy at first. New guys had to carry extra gear on marches, had to do push-ups while everyone else rested. Standard stuff that every unit does to some degree. But Staff Sergeant Brennan took it personally. He'd been in the unit 8 years, ran the junior enlisted like his personal kingdom, and he had this thing about making new soldiers earn their place. My roommate was this kid named Curtis Vaughn, 18 years old, skinny kid from rural Oregon who'd never been away from home. Brennan targeted him immediately. Started with small humiliations, making Curtis do hundreds of push-ups for tiny uniform infractions, forcing him to clean the bathroom with a toothbrush, denying him meal breaks during field exercises. I watched it happen, felt sick about it, but I was new too, kept my mouth shut, told myself it would pass once Curtis proved himself. Brennan's crew made it worse. 3 specialists who'd been there almost as long, Wade Kimball, Vincent Draper, and Sterling Hayes. They followed Brennan's lead, turned hazing into entertainment. They invented this game called the Gauntlet. New soldiers had to run between 2 lines of guys who'd hit them with towels, boots, whatever they wanted. If you fell down or tried to dodge, you started over. Curtis ran the Gauntlet 6 times in 1 month. Came back to our room covered in bruises, told me he'd fallen during training. I knew better. Could see the shame in his eyes. The worst part was how accepted it all was. Senior leadership knew something was happening, but Brennan was careful. Only hazed people during off-duty hours. Made sure there were no witnesses outside his crew. Other new guys went through it too, but nobody talked. Speaking up meant becoming the new target, so we all suffered silently, counted down the days until the next group of privates arrived to take our place. Month 3, things escalated. Brennan decided Curtis needed a special lesson. Said he was too soft, needed to toughen up if he wanted to be infantry. They woke him up at 2 in the morning, dragged him outside in his underwear, made him low crawl through mud while they threw rocks and screamed insults. This went on for 2 hours. Curtis came back shaking, covered in cuts and mud. His hands were bleeding. He sat on his bunk staring at the wall, didn't say a word. I should have done something then. Should have gone to the platoon sergeant or the commander, but I was terrified. Convinced myself Curtis would be fine, that this was just how the army worked. Week later, Curtis tried to kill himself. Took a whole bottle of sleeping pills in the bathroom. Another private found him passed out and called for help. They rushed him to the hospital, pumped his stomach, saved his life. But the investigation started immediately. Military police interviewed everyone in the unit. Brendan told us all to keep quiet, said if anyone talked, they'd pay for it later. Wade and the others backed him up, created this wall of silence. But Curtis told them everything. Every detail of what Brennan had done, every person involved, every incident over 3 months. I got called in for my interview. This captain from CID sat across from me with a folder full of statements. Asked me what I knew. I could have lied, could have protected Brennan and his crew, but I kept seeing Curtis on that bunk, shaking and bleeding and broken, so I told them everything I'd witnessed. The gauntlet, the midnight crawl, all the humiliation and abuse I'd watched happen and done nothing to stop. Felt like confessing to a crime. In a way, I guess it was. I'd been complicit through my silence. Turned out 12 other soldiers gave similar statements. Everyone had been too scared to speak up individually. But once Curtis broke the silence, the floodgates opened. Brennan got court-martialed, received 6 months in military prison and a dishonorable discharge. Wade, Vincent, and Sterling all got Article 15s, busted down in rank, lost their pay, transferred to different units. Our company commander got relieved. First sergeant received a letter of reprimand. The investigation found they'd ignored multiple warning signs and complaints. Curtis medically retired, PTSD diagnosis, gets disability payments now. Last I heard he moved back to Oregon, works at his family's farm, refuses to talk about his time in the army, but here's what nobody talks about. The investigation didn't change the culture. Not really. Brennan's gone, but the mindset remains. New leadership made speeches about dignity and respect, put up posters about hazing prevention, required everyone to take training classes. Then 6 months later, I watched a different staff sergeant make a new private do push-ups until he vomited. Called it corrective training. Nobody said a word. The exposed hazing just went underground, got more subtle, more careful, but it never actually stopped. I got out after my contract ended. Couldn't handle being part of a system that protects bullies and breaks kids like Curtis. Some things the army doesn't want to fix. They just want to make sure nobody finds out.